Okay, page Kuf Pei, we're ending the Maimon now. Let's see, the last thing in the middle of page Kuf Pei, the last thing we brought is the Inyan Chodesh Ishtei. Chodesh is Malchus, Noit Tchilos and Besef and Seven Tchilos, and the Malchus Daf Geshpen is Koyach Elin Yetz. Malchus has a higher Koyach. What's the remez? Zeo Shekosuf. Pasuk says in Yirmiyah, Al Yisal Chach Baruch Mosa Gibor Gvoros Osher Barosher Ki Im Bezayis Yisal Am Yisal Aska V'Dereis. It brings the Pshat al Pichsidis. Zeo Shekosef Ki Im Bezayis Yisal Am Yisal Bezayis Davka P'nas Malchus. Zayis is the Madrig of Malchus. Aska V'Der Oisim Nes Atzvus in Sof Leizram Zem Shemoyz V'Shum Kaitz. Oisim is Atzvus in Sof. Whereas Atzvus in Sof expressed Davka in Zayis, which is Malchus. Valkein. Yove kol bosa lishtachvus lefon nebechol Shabbos v'chodesh. That's why la'osid lavoy. Hoy mit der chodesh b'Shabbat mit der chodesh min Shabbos Shabbat yove kol bosa lishtachvus lefonai, because Shabbos is going to be the gil of Shabbos shel Shabbos shleimus the Yismach Yisrael be'isa Yismach Hashem b'maisa what earlier gil pnimi satik. The same thing when they get to Malchus, the Chodesh is going to be the Gilui of Koyach Elyon, of Oisi. Pirush Yove Kol Boso, now is Medayik the Lashon Pasik, Yove Kol Boso. Why does this type is Boso? So he brings a medrash. Shkos will be Yalkut, Omar, Beloza, Kol Mishan Nasa Keboso. Boilam Maza Zeche, Borei Pnei Ashchina Boilam Abba. Was meint das? Basically, we have to bring another pasuk. The pasuk says, "V'asireis es leiva even mikir b'chem and asati lechem leiv boso." So leiva even means when someone is unmovable, then he's like he has a heart made of rock. But leiv boso means he's soft. So that's the meaning here of called boso. He says, "Boso ksiv by v'nirpo." As it says in, I guess in Pasuk, Venirpo, what does it say? Venirpo, I think when they get to the Goyim, find it. No, Venirpo, let's see. I don't think Venirofe. Ksiv, what is it? Ksiv Venirpo. Yeah, the boss of Ksiv by Venirpo. Let's see. So the Lashon, that's interesting. It's interesting. Remes. Says when they get to in Pashas, I think it's in Pashas Tazria, the Goy, Bosa Kiir, Ba'ir Shchin V'Nirpo. So what do we see here? It's an interesting remes. With the fact that Bosa needs V'Nirpo, it needs healing. It means it's on its own. It's in a state of softness. It says Bosa Moira Ala Rakus. The expression signifies softness. Okay, let me see the medrash. The medrash is Kol Mishanasa Kebosok B'Elam Hazes. The Gemara, it's a Gemara, yeah. Gemara says, the Gemara in Seit. What does the Gemara say? That's not. Oh yeah. What does it say? Something different. Actually, the Gemara brings the bustle. Yeah. It's a remes of the Gemara. Okay, what does it say? Omar B'chiski ain't filosin shel adam nishmas elim kein meisim libay kebasar shenemar v'oyim de'achrish v'chosh v'shabbat Shabbat ayov kol basar shtaps. Omar Abzeire basar ksiv b'venirpo adam lo ksiv b'venirpo. Oh, it's a remes. You get to Basel, says the Pasuk, Bus, like I said, Basel Kirish. Sorry, what is this? Sorry, I'm sorry. Something here. What is this? I'm sorry. What's it? What does it say? Huh? Paso. 46. Oh, it says Adam ki so it doesn't say venirpa, but baso venirpa. No, it's okay. It's not the way I understood it. Venirpa means that only if in a state of baso, only then do you heal. All right, so this is the Gemara actually. So the Gemara says that the concept of, but in our mind, he says something a little different. Yalkut, zech v'rei pnei hashchina. So the Gemara says that kol mishameis matzah k'bos at filos and ishmas. But Yalkut says zech v'rei pnei hashchina. Bos is v'nir, but okay, so that's the remez. Bos is v'nir po, as the Gemara says that only it says Adam ki ber psorish sapachas, doesn't say v'nirpa. The boss ki ber shchin v'nirpa. The boss amer al arakas daina bitler at say neshosom era. See the Rashi say something here. Let me see the Rashi. Probably was say to the family. Sorry. Let's say here. Okay. Rashi says the basar shurach v'loy ke'even shul kosher. That's what I bought before. That's a vayseros is slave even the second from lev basar. Basar signifies softness. What does softness mean? Here it says pshat al-pichsidus. Eine bitler etzenish or so mera. Softness means you're not an action. You're more flexible. But in this case, it means more than that. It means sumera. You mevatel your interests, your tzainus, your taivas. Or Rabbi, zecher rebnei hashchina. What?
What Gemara is it that saying another interpretation של אדם נשמת אלא אם כן
Seita da Hey Medalef. Seita da Hey Medalef. Okay, I'll bring it in here. Okay. Bring it into the WhatsApp. So if you want to look at it right now. Okay, here's the Gemara. All right, so
the Hasidic interpretation is the Pasuk is bitul. That's the Hasidic interpretation.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Al Nigla also rakos means soft, but the soft pashtas means that you're not about you're soft, you're not hard, you're not an action. It's also beetle, but the beetle of Nigla means beetle that you're not an action. Here it says deeper. It says beetle means shemevatler etzenish somera. It's a strong beetle. So pnei the dir can lashn in yalka so is pnei ashchina why pnei the day she melach biyofi tzen einecho you know the terzen einecho should see the Eberstein in his full glory melach biyofi siv le'el minei va'etzem einer miroz v'ra. What is siv le'el minei? Wow. See, it's another thing. Isn't it weird? Let's see. Actually, it's another. We discover the psukim. See it. It's a pasuk in Ishaya. I don't think it's an after anyway. That's why I don't remember that. Pasuk in Ishaya says like this: Euler Tzedakos. Okay, it describes a person who's doing the right thing. So it's like Ishaya Perek Lamed Gimel Pasuk Tes Vov. Euler Tzedakos. There Meshorim. Moy is a betzam ashakas. In other words, he's being charitable. He's always straight. He refrains from bets, from stealing. Neuer kap of the b'sheichat. He removes his hands from taking sheichat. Oitem ezdem ishmaya domim. He don't listen l'shnor. V'oitzem einav mirois bera. That's pasuk tesvov. So then says the next pasuk, hu moreim im ishkoin, that he is going to be a higher level. And the pasuk after the pasuk is there, meler biyofit ezen einecha tiren eretz merchak. So in our Maimah, I mean, it's possible that this psukim are both over there in Yalkut. So in our Maimah, connects it because it's a main of Meres Bara, like it says in two psukim earlier. Well, that's the same meaning of Surmera. Which it says in the Yalkut. Okay, now we're going back to the beginning of the Maimah. This is the matter says, and Elamaz, in other words, before Mashiach comes, Talil regula's only 3 times a year. The mitzvah is Rak Beragol. Mitzvah for Yesef is only Beragolim Shemei Gil and Sof. But B'Shabbos Rosh Chodesh, Hashem Shabbos Rosh Chodesh should Gil B'Chinas Shem Havaya, ain't it B'Chinas Gil Mamish. In other words, the way it is now, the way I experience now before Mashiach comes. Shabbos Rosh Chodesh. There's not. They don't have the ultimate gil of Shem Havai. Means there's no Shem Havai de le'ele. There's no Shabbos shel Chodesh, Shabbos v'Chodesh shel Chodesh. The lower level of Shem Havai. Shleima. So then he brings in the famous Pri Chaim. The Rebbe always used to quote. This is like the Rebbe quoted so many times. Because Pri Chaim Shakesh and practice for. All הגילויים דעכשיו מבחינת חיצוני הסאטיק, פנימי הסאטיק is God lost. All the great giluyim that we experience till Mashiach comes, including Matan Torah and Beis Hamikdash and everything, all this is חיצוני הסאטיק. It's only the external expression of the Madrega of Atik. Aber pnimi הסאטיק lost it. The gil of pnimi הסאטיk, which is the inner, deeper, higher level of Gil Elikus, and it Milvada, it will be Nisgala only Losidlo. So similar to what the Brit Chaim says about Atik, applies to our discussion too. That the Shabbos of Chodesh now is Taka Gil Shavaya with Prince Chitzenis, and the Shavaya Latata, like we said earlier. Aber Pnimis Atik Nisgala Losid. But even now, there's a horror of that madrega of the pnimiasatik. Which is to bina. We said earlier, moichen de ema, which is what was the same moichen de ema. Now in the regolim is moichen de ema, in the sholosh regolim. So what does it say? I'm Mashakasa, but da Chodesh not I'm Ches. We learned earlier in the Maimah Chodesh a few Maimorim ago. L'chein Nika Yom Tov. One of the reasons the Yomim Tovim he connects basically the learned in the Maimah Chodesh to this Maimah. Both of them talk about the Yomim Tovim. So if you remember over there, he spoke about the Yom Tov. He brought from Kabbalah that Yom Tov means that Tov is Maram as the Oyer Sheniva B'Yom Rishon. That the Yom Tov is the Gil of the Oyer Sheniva B'Yom Rishon. That's the toiv. Remember, there were 2 levels in toiv. Toiv Hashem lakoil, toiv Hashem lakoivav. So the gil of Shnei Rishon is b'moyadim. It's meir in moyadim. That's how yomim toivim. So that's what's happening now. It's chitzoni asatik, but it's a horror. But we have the horror of even pnimis, I think. There's a horror. אבל לא עושי, שפרינס שבת של שבת, חודש של חידש, ידעו פרינס שעמד לעיר פרינס עתיק, יגיע בחושב של חידש. That's why לא עושי לא עבוד. רואים, בחודש בחודש, so the Re'iyah will be able to experience the Madriga, that higher level of Gili, every Shabbos של חידש. זהו שלוש פעמים בשנה אורך לסחור. Going back to the beginning of the Maimah, that he bought earlier. What is this? one second. What is it? Oh, okay. Was there some Mashon Eres Kol Schucha? That's the pasuk that the Maimer is based on. Pasuk Mishpatim. That the Shalosh Pamim Kol Schucha. The Re'iyah, the Yeroa Kol Schucha. Everyone should show himself in Beis Hamikdash. Mitzvah Re'iyah B'Regalim T'Shem Simcha Me'Gil Netzach. Lo Ozi the Yeroa V'Shtor B'Choyav Zachedish. Nish Ozi Yishleim Asat Simcha. Yismach Yisrael. Avay B'Maisa B'Yismach Yisrael B'Yisrael. Okay, let's go back to learn it the second time. It was quite complicated and interesting minor, but for the second time I understand better. Page Kufain Base. Shalosh Parim Bashana Yeroa Kol Schucha Es Pnei Aden Hashem. Tzarich Log Mitzvahs Re'iyah B'Regalim Adrei Goyim Ha'oid. The Mitzvahs Re'iyah B'Regalim Adrei Goyim Ha'oid. K'maymer Hazal Kashem Shabo Liros Kach Bo Liros. So this Maimer Hazal itself is a little bit of a complicated. Once I look in the Gemara, but the Gemara and the Chagiga, the first daf of Chagiga. Second. Shem Shabo Liros Kach Bo Liros. What he says like this. So Rashi says. Sorry. Yeroa Kol Schucha Pnei Aden Hashem. So it says Yeroa Kol Schucha. What is Yeroa? It means you'll be seen. The Eibishter will see you. So Rashi says Yeroa Kol Schucha mashma sha'odam b'oyes hashchina. Yeroa Kol Schucha is Pnei Aden mashma. Yeroa Kol Schucha mashma. Sometimes it says Yeroa, sometimes Yeroa. Mashma sha'odam bo liroischa. Ikish riyoscha liriyoscha. The der shabo liriyoscha. Keinu bo lirois mimcha. Lirois mimcha. Marius, it's an interesting. The Gemara talks about. Okay, it's right. Like I said, the first daf of Chagiga. The Gemara says that summa ba'achas mishne einav potter min ha're'iyah. If someone is blind, Chachman Litzlan, one eye is not chayv mitzvah. Why? Because when you come to see, also be seen. The way you be seen is the same way you see because you be seen by the Eibishter Kaviyachol. Since the Eibishter sees you, Rashi says, just like the Eibishter sees you, Kaviyachol, with two eyes, so you must see him also with two eyes. So if you sum ba'ay nachas, potter min ha're'iyah. What an interesting Gemara here. So he says, Madrega Gavoya Ma'oid. It means that the two, in other words, you're seen by the Eibishter. So that itself is an expression of High Madrega. So he explains, there was such a high level of inspiration. We experienced a vision of the Eibishter himself, just like we know all the places. The different Re'iyah and Shmiya, we learned earlier in the Maimer before this one. Shmiya is like you hear about something. Shmiya Sametzias. Someone tells you, you've been told about a certain concept. Re'iyah means you see the thing himself. Mahus. It's not. You capture the essence. So we said when we say Liyah the regular was Re'iyah, well, Lirois, we see godliness, and maybe that's expressed also in Shte'ena, maybe that's not my whole. So the Re'iyah means Re'iyah Samahus. That's number one. Number two, there's a Nasam Mabitul. Through that spiritual state of Re'iyah Salikus, you have direct vision of godliness that affects the person. What? Nasim Beetle Pnimi Va'atzmi. The ear, the Holocaust, creates in the people, and those people who experience it, a level of Beetle Pnimi Va'atzmi, a very high level of self nullification and consumption by Lakus. So that's expressed in the word ishtachavo, which we said the first time we learned that ishtachavo in English will translate prostrate yourself. It was the proper word. Prostrate yourself. You lay down, pishat yadayim v'raglayim. What's the connection for ear and ishtachavo? It's a pasuk. He's saying davening in Musa. Sham nale v'neor v'nishtachavo. Neor and ishtachavo come together. Ishtachavo, what does ishtachavo mean in Avodas Hashem? Shemizbatl mikol atzmusay. His entire essence is nullified. Ad she'ein le'rak ratzon echad l'Hashem levad. The only interest he has is we bottle to the Eibishter. We connect to the Eibishter. It's a very high level of bittul. He loses his entire ego, not just his ego, his tzio, his own self-perception or importance of anything. It's totally bottled to the Eibishter. The first Maimer, over there he explains that the inyan for Ishtachava, the Re'iyah brings to Ishtachava. Who? So he explains it. This Re'iyah, this experience of the vision of the essence of godliness, creates in the person a total state of Bittul Pnimi V'atzim. Lahavdil, if he like, even when we see someone so great that makes us lose our significance, we lose our entire self. Like I said, anything related to the self. That's the mashal. So the same thing the nimshal. So what is the ear? So summarize. What is the ear for ear? Ear is a very two types. Number one is an extremely high level of spiritual vision of Holocaust, and in turn, it's also a very high level of bit. So after we understood that, Lama needs so that's if it's a hemshach to tzorich lahavin. The first line of the Maimer is tzorich lahavin. So tzorich lahavin, you have to understand why shalosh pamim b'shana heroic l'soch. After we explained what the heroic l'soch really means, means a very high level of perception of Holocaust. And that creates in turn in that case, why is this mitzvah only Yom Tov, not Shabbos? Well, it's Shabbos and only Yom Tov. It is known that Shabbos is higher than Yom Tov. So first it brings all kind of Kabbalah, but Pshat, we see that Shabbos is Asa b'melacha, Yom Tov Melacha Sechel Nefesh is Mutter. So what does it show? That Shabbos is a higher level of kedusha. You stay away. It's in a simple sense. Shabbos we are much more separated from anything physical, from anything material. So Shabbos is a higher level of kedusha, but that's a simple pshat. But he brings in the inner, pneumistic aspect of it. The Shabbos is kodesh. Shabbos is called kodesh. What is kodesh? Holiness. It's pure holiness. Shabbos ki kodesh. Shabbos is kodesh. What is it? Kodesh and mikoy kodesh? Kodesh means it's holiness. Mikoy kodesh means something that you call in the holiness. It's not holy itself. Pasuk says, we say in Kiddush of Yom Tov Day, Elam Mayada Hashem Mikoi Kodesh Tikoisem b'Mayada. So that's in the simple pasuk.
Mikrai also Mikrai Kodesh is called Kodesh, no?
Exactly, but there's Kodesh itself. There's Mikoi Kodesh. It's a lower level of kedusha. So 1 second.
It's really the same thing. One is called Kodesh. One is called Kodesh. One is Kodesh. No. When it says called Kodesh means what?
Kodesh means you have to be cold. It's not Kodesh itself. It's something that calls the Kodesh. It's a level below Kodesh. 1 second. I want to bring in something. In the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, I think. 1 second. I mean, I understand that what you're saying, but you have to realize that. 1 second. Let's say it.
I just want to say it's not playing with the words, Chas v'Shem. That's what I'm saying.
It's not a play word. It's just like it's a diuk in the word. Mikroe kodesh. You call the kodesh. Kodesh means it's kodesh on its own. Mikacha v'kaima. It's a holiness. It's the heiligkeit alein. It's holiness itself. It's not. Sit 1 second. Give me a second. Okay. So here, I was looking. Stamazer. Here it's not exactly. Here it's the first seif of Ilchas Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. So he says shash. Put verkehrt what he said here. It says v'koros al Shabbos einig shabbos ubichlal mikroi kodesh. There's a kuntasach in here. Let's look at the kuntasach. So it says there's a heart to the side. Chelamid loy nama mikra kodesh asher kori mikra kodesh le'inyan korbanos. 1 second, I want to see there's a kuntasach in here. There's a kuntasach. It's not online. Let's forget it. 1 second. It's okay. It's not something we're going to talk about it, but so the first Kontasachen in the first Seif also Shabbos Alter Rebbe talks about how Shabbos has the mile of Mikroy Kodesh, but that's Alpi Nigla Mashma that Mikroy Kodesh has certain mile. But here Alpi Kabbalah, Alpi Chassidus, Alpi Remes. Mikroy Kodesh is a level below Kodesh. Now the Kodesh it's Kodesh on its own. It's holy. Like in other places it says not here in the Gemara it says Shabbos. In the Bracha we say Mekadesh HaShabbos in davening. Baruch Hashem Mekadesh HaShabbos. When you get to Yom Tov, say Mekadesh Yisrael veHazmanim. Why? Because the Gemara says Shabbos Mekadesh v'Kaima. The fact that the day is the 7th day of the week, it's something the way the Rebbe created it. But he saw Mashenkin is money, he saw in the Kachin is money because the best announces when Rosh Chodesh is, and then turn that's what established what day the Yom Tov is. So maybe it's connected. It's connected that the Kodesh, the Kedusha of Shabbos is a higher level of Kedusha. It comes, the Rebbe created L'Chatchila Shabbos Kodesh. Mikroy Kodesh means you have to call. There has to be an act. We have to do something to bring in the Kedush. So it's a lower level. So that's one point. But now he right away goes into the Kabbalah side of it. Shabbos ibchinas meichen de Abba, Yom Tov meichen de Ima. Says in Kabbalah, Shabbos, what Madriga shines, what Madriga, which spheres of Atzilus are dominant, are expressed in Shabbos, and Yom Tov is a difference. Shabbos is we have the Gila of Meichin the Abba, which means the Meichin of Chachma, the spheres of Chachma. Hashenken Yom Tov is Meichin the Ema. There's the Meichin of Ema, which is Bina. So Bina is Bala Chachma. But it says more than that. Chachma Yeriyah, Bina Yerakasog. We learned a lot of places that the difference of Chachma and Bina, Chachma is Yeriyah. Chachma is like the mind's eye sees, its sight, to capture the essence. Bina is more like Shmir, Asog. You understand the outer parts of the concept, not the essence. So the Chayra Kumtois, the Yom Tov is a law Madriga Shabbos, and the Re'iyah is Dafka Shabbos. After we establish that Shabbos is higher than Yom Tov, Shabbos is Re'iyah. But so the question is even more: why is it that the mitzvah of Re'iyah B'Regolim is Dafka Yom Tov and not Shabbos? So that is the question. Period. Okay, so we finish with this question. Then he brings another message. In the Yalkut of Ishaya, so in Yalkut, in the end of Ishaya, the end. If you remember the last chapter, the last parak of Ishaya, that's the after of Shabbos Rosh Chodesh. So the last pasuk in the after of Shabbos Rosh Chodesh is va'oyim midei Chodesh b'chodsh midei Shabbos b'Shabbata yova kol bosel ishtachas lefon Hashem. So that's a describe. It describes what's going to be lost in love. Says the Yalkut, al pasuk tzoma nafshel likim lekel choy masa yova ve'roy pnei likim. The pasuk in Tehillim. The pasuk says that my soul thirsts for likim kel choy to the Eibishter. Masa yova ve'roy pnei likim. When will I come and see pnei likim? Oh, that's Sarif Nakadosh Baruch Hu. So he says the Yalkut says pshat in the pasuk in Tehillim. The Knesset is so. The Jewish people tell the Eibishter, Motzei Tazer is a covered Rishon. When are you going to return to me the first glory? Sheisi Oilo Regel Gimel Parim B'Shana. Shenemar Shorish Parim B'Shana Rekol Zchucha. So, in other words, someone actually Kim really is expressed when the Knesset is so. The Jewish people are telling the Eibishter, crying the Eibishter to the Eibishter, why? When am I going to get back? I'm thirsty. Someone nafshi. Masa yoba ve'eroy pnei elikim. When am I be able ve'eroy pnei elikim? When am I going to be able to experience again that high level of connection to you, to see godliness? Amal HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, the Eibishter answers them, in the current Elam, which means before the world to come, before the Mashiach's times, so the Aliyah Regel, the time of Samigir was only 3 times there. But in the future, Mashiach comes, the whole Chodesh v'Chodesh. It's interesting that the Medrash doesn't say B'chol Shabbos v'Shabbos, but I don't know. It's possible that the Medrash doesn't say it, Ram is it, or maybe it's missing a word here. Shenemar, that's what the Medrash says in the end of Ishai. What is it? That in the future, the experience of Elias Pnei Shechina will be experienced every Shabbos and every Shechit. So the Gemara, it's the Meforshim of the Medrash asks, how will they be able to reach this I will be able to come every Shabbos. I mean, the people in remember the shluchim they used to announce one of Chodesh. It took them 15 days to come from Yerushalayim to the furthest more than 15 days to come to the furthest place where Eden were living. So how can you go back every Shabbos back and forth? How is it possible? And for the Gemara, and for the answer,
Internet, no?
What?
They didn't have internet, so they did not have internet in those days. So satellite. Now this through satellite they show from one mountain to another mountain.
No, but we're talking how you get. Chol Shabbos means you're gonna go to Yerushalayim. You're gonna go to Beis Hamikdash every Shabbos. How can you do it? Not forget about the internet. We're talking about actually physically going there. How can you go there? How can you fly back?
A Concorde airplane that breaks down barrier.
Okay, so here's a more refined level of a Concorde. There's a passage that describes Mashiach's times. Who are those who fly like a cloud? There's clouds. Mashiach comes. The clouds will take us from where we live every Shabbos back to Yerushalayim. So they can do it instantly. There's no need for okay. You say the Concorde, but okay. Let's see. The shtickle story of this Yalkut in Toshin Lamed Zayin, the sum of Toshin Lamed Zayin. The Rebbe said a maimer, and he bought this Yalkut. It was based on the maimer we're learning now. Actually, the Rebbe wrote then that the maimer what he said was taken from this maimer Shlosh Moim B'Shana Ein Ches, and the Rebbe said that how can so you had all people, when are they going to come? Erev Shabbos or Shabbos? See, the other people, he said that the difference, there's a day, remember that there's a Gemara when they get to Leon Novi, the Geul, if you can come Erev Shabbos, because if ain't Tchum in Lamala Masor, you can above Es Asor Tfochim, there's no mitzvah of Tchum Shabbos, so you can come from everywhere. So the Rebbe discussed that issue then. It's a long answer. It's printed in a lot of places. I'll put a link to it later. So in other words, what the Rebbe said, there's two perushim. When the Anani were going to do it? Are they going to do it Erev Shabbos or Shabbos? So told in the Machlokes and Gemara, Miyesh Tchum in Lamal Masor, ain't Tchum in Lamal Masor. The issue of Tchum Shabbos is applies above Asar Tfachim or not. The Machlokes. So the Rebbe said that 2 days in Medrash depend on these two opinions. It's an interesting tidbit. Sure. I don't even know why he brings it here, because I don't think in the end he discusses this concept of Kananim. But the Chagav, just explain. So what do we see here? What do we see in this Medrash? That the L'Osid Lavoi, in other words, he has the question at the beginning of the Maimon, why is the Shalosh HaGorim only, why is the mitzvah for Shalosh HaGorim should be Shabbos? Because the Medrash says Mashiach comes, it's not going to be every Shabbos, not every Shabbos. So we didn't answer the question, but it seems like that's basically the key of this Maimon. It seems like Shabbos or Shabbos Taka deserve to have a year. All right, that's what's going to be lost in love, but there's something lacking now in the Shabbos or Shabbos. We have to wait till Mashiach comes in order to be able to experience the year every Shabbos. So that's the introduction to the Maimon. Now beginning to the Maimon itself. So in order to get into this discussion, we have to talk more about what's Shabbos and what's Chodesh. Chodesh in Pasuk is called, it's not it's not a day of work. I'm not sure work. It's not a day of personal of doing your own things. What's the eye and I said, see, we read in the Haftarah from Erev Chodesh says that I think that Yonasan tells to David. Let me see the exact pasuk. It says, okay, we read it every Erev Chodesh. V'shelashta tered me'oid says it should go down and basel amokem shani starta shem b'yoyim ha'maise v'yashavta etzel Even Oz. What happened over there? David didn't come Rosh Chodesh to Shaul's meal, to Shaul's feast, and he told it. So Shmuel tells Yonasan tells Shaul that after the Chodesh, then Vaisasar David. So B'yem HaMaisa means the day after Rosh Chodesh. Tirgum Yonasan, and that Yonasan, that B'yem the Choyle means the day of Choyle, the day of Yom HaChoyle, which is not Yom HaMaisa. I know be'erev Rosh Chodesh, but Rosh Chodesh lo metzinu b'pasuk shekor Yom HaMaisa. Interesting. It's like a learning from Shlila. Yom HaMaisa is erev Rosh Chodesh. That's Rashi says actually. Rashi says v'chein tirgum Yonasan b'yom HaChoyle she'ois hayom nistak ma shenema v'yisasa David b'sada v'yah Chodesh mocher. The day before Rosh Chodesh, that's when David hid himself. That's Yom HaMaisa. So from that we learn, it's like Miklal Ein Tashem Alav. If the day before it's called Yom HaMaisa, it means the day of Rosh Chodesh itself is not Yom HaMaisa. So the 2 points. First of all, it's interesting. So Rosh Chodesh loy matzinu b'pasuk. It's an interesting way to. It's more than loy matzinu. It's a mashma that if he calls says the day of Yom HaMaisa, it means today is not Yom HaMaisa. Rosh Chodesh is not Yom HaMaisa. That is, so we see from this that the day of Rosh Chodesh is not called Yom HaMaisa. At the same time, Rosh Chodesh is not called Yom HaMaisa. It's even again. I think it says that women shouldn't do laundry on Rosh Chodesh. There's certain melachos we don't do, but mikol makom, mutar b'asiyas melacha. There's no issa melacha on Rosh Chodesh. There is a certain minhag not to, like I said, but Rosh Chodesh be'etzem is mutar b'melacha. There's no issa melacha Rosh Chodesh. So we have to understand this paradox. Ma'o she'eina Yom HaMaisa mutar b'melacha. So we find that Rosh Chodesh has within a built-in contradiction. It's not called a day of action. It's not called a day of melacha. Same time, it's mutar b'asiyas melacha. So it seems like Rosh Chodesh is a day that expresses two opposite movements. So we can have two opposite modes of being. So he's going to go into discussion with Abir Agdom. So he goes into a different discussion. So we found the pasuk last time we looked for it. 1 second. First, let me I'll put up the. I'll put up the Rashi of when he started the Yom HaMaisa, but also let's see the other pasuk. Sheishes Yamim. Sheishes Yamim Tasem Asecha. That's a pasuk in it's in Mishpatim, I think. So what does it say, Mishpatim? Sheishes Yamim Tasem Asecha Beim Hashvi Tishbois. So what is Tasem Asecha? They have to tell you to do melacha. I mean, why do you have to say that? So he says. So it means it's mashma that the Eibishter tells you that 6 days of the week you're allowed to do your work. Shabbos you should rest. You should give seil chatchila. Shabbos. What is the meaning of Sheish Yom Tasem Asecha? Tzorich lo matzchim heta asiyas melacha. So really, he says it's a question. It sounds like Tasem Asecha. I mean, it's not. Sometimes it says so. It's a says not a Tas. Another pasuk Sheish Yom Tav. But here's mashma that 6 days a week you're allowed to work, and the 70 not allowed. So what you have to tell me I'm allowed to work? What's the hava meaning? So it's really that's what he's going to discuss it. Really, is a big chiddush. It's a big chiddush that Torah tells us that 6 days of the week we're allowed to do our own work. Why? Gam. That's so the question. About what's the chiddush? Gam. So Alexiv Sheish Yom Tav. There's another pasuk. So it already says that 6 days you should walk. Why do you have to give it another pasuk? Which sounds like a stronger heter. So he says, and the reason is that the truth is that we need a heter. We need a special allowance. The Ibsha should allow us to walk on the 6 days. Why? The Eibishter is an entire heaven and earth. The Eibishter is everywhere. Less as upon him in not only that. I mean, it's a pasuk. It's a less as upon him in is in Zoya, but it brings pasuk says in Tani. It says in Tani Peik Mamalev. One of the base psukim ve'ina vay needs of Allah. So the lashon in Tani is a beichem klois v'lev v'roi kol ma'asav. The Eibishter is standing right in front of him and watching his deeds. So really, that itself should be a reason we should not be allowed to do our own work. Why? Because the Gemara says, it's also an interesting expression in Gemara that when a person does he just shows something. He moves. Machag is like translated. It's some kind of it's a tool that shows you where to go. So even any act that you do in front of the king is considered merida b'malchus. Well, in other words, when you're in front of the king, you're not allowed to be busy with your own things because the king is there. So you have to be totally. What's the Gemara? The Gemara is R'Giga. R'Giga says Daf Hemet Beis. Let's find the Gemara. Yeah, that actually it actually happened there. That okay, the Gemara says a little different. The truth is the Gemara is a little different, but Rashi says Machag is a remes. When you do a remes in front of king, you deserve the death penalty. Katlu. You don't deserve. You don't deserve because it's called the merida b'malchus. When you're in front of the king, you have to be totally concentrated on the king. If you pay attention to something else, if you do your own things in front of the king, that's considered merida, rebellion, because the king has to be totally. You have to be totally devoted to him. So the male man if this law applies to any other king, Allah has kama v'kama. Melech Malach HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Eibishter. King, that's upon him in Ne'etzach also b'melacha. So really, on its own, if the pasuk wouldn't come and tell us, Sheisam das malachtecha, we wouldn't be allowed to do work, our own things, because the king is in front of us. Hashem Nitzav, the Eibishter is present in front of you and he watches you. So how can you be busy with your own things? It's called it's a merida. Okay, that's why the pasuk comes to teach us a special heter that you're allowed to do. Okay, continue tomorrow.
We're going slow, R'Dovid.